Now, first, I want to give a big shout out to Continental Toyota for making this video possible. So if you're in the market for a brand new or used Toyota, then definitely check out Continental Toyota. Their information is on the screen and also in the description of this video. Today, I'm behind the wheel of a 2020 Toyota Highlander, and this is the L trim, which means this is the base trim and the least expensive Highlander you can buy today. Now on paper, today I was looking at Toyota's website and I was looking at the base trim of the 2020 Highlander, which is this L trim, versus a base trim of a 2019 Highlander, which was LE. And if you look at the difference, the price went up by $3,000, which is significant. You would figure, a couple hundred, maybe $1,000, $3,000 is a lot of money for year-to-year change. However, that's because the LE trim for 2019 came with a 4-cylinder engine. That was the only trim you could opt for a 4-cylinder, and they have removed that altogether because, you know what, on a big 3-row SUV, you really should be using a V6. So even with the base trim on this L, you get a very powerful 3.5-liter V6 engine pushing 295 horsepower, and is mated to an 8-speed automatic. And this is the same engine across all gas-powered Highlanders. So it doesn't matter if you get an L or XLE or even the Platinum. You're getting the same engine and same transmission, which means fuel economy, acceleration power, all that good stuff is exactly the same. And that's a big plus. Now, what else is the same? Well, obviously, the space and cargo room is the same in this base trim versus the upper trims. Now, this new platform for 2020 is a little bit bigger than the 2019. It's a little bit longer, a little bit wider, and that's a good thing because cargo room has gotten bigger. If you look behind the third row, couple extra cubic feet of cargo room for those of you guys that's looking to carry stuff around. And if the space behind the third row wasn't enough, just simply fold down the third row seats to get a lot more cargo room. Now, speaking of room, look in the second row. Take a look, I'm 5 feet 10. You can see behind my driving position, I have good 6 to 8 inches of leg room and plenty of headroom, about 5 to 6 inches. And of course, you can move the seats up. You can move the second row up to generate more leg space for the third row if you need it. And you can also recline. So it's actually very comfortable in the second row. And what I like is in the second row, you don't really miss out on much. You get climate control, so it's a tri-zone climate control in here. You still have that. You still have 2 USB ports back there. So overall, it's pretty comfortable in the second row, even though this is the base trim. So what features do you miss out on in the second row? Well, you miss out on heated seats. Okay, that's not a big deal for a lot of you guys, especially if you have kids with car seats. Heated seats is worthless, right? Also, sunshades, leather, obviously, right? Inside this L trim, you get cloth. But I will say the cloth actually feels pretty good. It's not like the super cheap cloth you see on some other models. This is actually a good feeling cloth. It has the same basic design as the other Toyotas and the RAV4, but overall it feels pretty good. And the rest of the surfaces in here, it's not like Toyota just made everything hard plastic or anything like that. Even though there's no leather in here, actually everything that you feel and touch is actually soft. It actually feels good. It doesn't feel cheap in here. So, despite the fact this is a base trim, everything in here actually still feels and looks pretty good. All right, I got off track there. What else do you miss in the back? One big thing that may be a deal breaker for some of you guys is on the lower trims, on this L and LE, you can't opt for captain chairs. So you do get a bench setup, and I know for some of you guys that's an advantage because you could sit one extra person back there. But for those of you guys that want captain chairs because of the comfort and the ease of getting into the third row, that's not available on this L trim. So that is one thing that may be a deal breaker for some of you guys. Now I'm on a stretch of a freeway that's pretty bumpy, so I'm gonna get in the middle lane here, which is the worst lane, and you can see a lot of patches, dips, imperfections on the road, and the suspension. a little bumpier than some of its rivals, but isn't too bad. Now I remember the upper trims being a little bit softer than what I'm experiencing here, but overall it's not bad. Now in terms of noise level, I feel like it's a little bit noisier. That could be because the lack of acoustic glass. I feel like I hear a bit more overall cabin noise, but I don't hear anything really stand out. Road noise, nothing. Wind noise is about the same, but overall just the cabin level is a little bit higher, but it's still a very quiet ride. Keep in mind, I have the radio off. Most of you guys will have the radio on, and this will not be an issue. Now, in terms of driving position, this is a good driving position. One of the best things about a Highlander, you sit high up. You're sitting high up. You're definitely getting a commanding view of the road. And visibility is great all around. Nice big windshield. I could see well over the hood. The side too, the side windows are nice and big. The rear window, a little bit small. But even with the third row headrest up, like how it is now, I could still see in the middle, which is very nice. So what other features do you get in this base L trim? Well, you actually get a good amount of things in here. Starting with the infotainment screen. This is an 8-inch touchscreen. It's not as big or as gorgeous as the large available 13-inch one that they have. But you get the essentials. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. So even though there's no navigation, those of you guys that are using your phones, you'll have no problem. It's compatible. No problems with that. Now below that, climate controls, the usual stuff. You still get tri-zone in here. Unlike some of the others, the base trim only give you a single zone climate control. You still get tri-zone, one for each side and for the back. And you get heated mirrors as well. So that's really nice. What you're lacking though is heated seats and ventilated seats that you'll find on the upper trims. Now in terms of steering wheel, you also don't get a leather steering wheel. However, this vinyl wrapped one, I've gotten used to it. If you're looking for something that gets the job done, this is perfectly fine. However, you don't get heated element in here, so in the winter, that kind of sucks. Now, other things that are exactly the same in this L trim versus the Platinum trim is the all-wheel drive multi-terrain select setup. So if you opt for all-wheel drive, which is highly recommended, not only do you get drive modes, but you also get multi-terrain modes, such as the one here. There's a button here, mud and sand. You also get normal and then rock and dirt. Really nice. It changes the way the all-wheel drive system is to give you more traction when you need it. Also, you have drive modes, right? Usual, normal, sport, eco. Now also, there's more buttons down here for snow mode. You can also turn off the engine auto start stop, which is nice, but you do have to remember to turn that off every time you start the car if you didn't want the car to turn off itself at a stoplight, let's say. Also, safety features. Safety features exactly the same. You get Toyota Sense 2.0 in here, which means you get all the goodies. Pre-collision, emergency braking, warning, lane assist, adaptive cruise control, auto high beam. You get all that included. The only thing you miss on here is blind spot monitoring. You don't get that in here, and you also don't get front and rear sensors. However, you get the essentials, which is a lot more than what you used to get anyway, so that's a big bonus. What else is good is in this Highlander, you get plenty of ports. Besides the third row, which you don't get any, but in the second row you get 2, and up front down here you get 3. 1 for the media, but you could use it as charging anyways. So you get 3 up here, 2 in the back. So that's a lot. And you get a 12V outlet over here, and you get one inside too in the armrest. So for connectivity, you get plenty of it. So what are some things that you miss out on versus the upper trims? Well, I mentioned the stuff in the second row that you miss on, but on the outside, little stuff. You get more black cladding, especially on the back bumper or along the wheel fenders, but it's very minimal. It doesn't really pop up as much as you would think. On this white Highlander, it actually blends in really well and adds a good contrast. And overall, I think it's nice. You still get privacy windows too. You're missing roof rails. Some of you guys may never use it because honestly, the one on the Highlander looks like it's for decoration, not really for heavy duty use. So you don't get that as well. The wheels are a little bit smaller, but still you're getting 18-inch alloy wheels, which gives you bigger sidewalls. So actually makes the ride a bit smoother. On the inside, what are you missing? I've talked about those things. You don't get leather in here, right? The leather steering wheel, you don't get that either. Heated ventilated seats, you don't get that. You don't get the bigger optional, almost 13-inch infotainment screen, navigation, sunroof. Sunroof you don't get. I see in my comments all the time saying, hey, you mentioned all these nice things, but I don't really care. I just want something basic, something that is comfortable, get me from point A to point B, without breaking down. Oh, and at an affordable price. And that's what this base Highlander does. It covers all those things. Now, speaking of price, this is the base trim, so it starts at $35,000 and then it starts going up from there. And the platinum trim of the Highlander tops out around $50,000. So there's a $15,000 gap in between the base and the upper, and all those things I said you're not getting, well, that's what you're getting in that $15,000. So you have to decide which one is right for you, which features can you live with, and which features you can live without. Next, let's look at the good and bad to this brand new Highlander L. Starting with the good, the Highlander has a modern exterior styling, there's a good amount of interior space, you get a powerful V6 engine, there's a high quality cabin even with the base L trim, there's plenty of USB ports and 12V outlets, and finally you get a comfortable and quiet ride. As for the bad, there's a few things such as small third row seats for adults, there's no captain chair available for the lowered L trim, you lack some features obviously, and you do miss some safety features, and lastly that touchscreen, it has some lag and it is low resolution. Overall, I'm giving the 2020 Toyota Highlander L a score of 99, and if you want to see how it compares to higher trims of the Highlander and others in this class, then check out driversonlyrankings.com. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of my future reviews, first looks, or news.